I'm Tony Scott with bnetTV. We are here at the SDP Global Summit in Rome, and I am speaking with Layer 7's Mr. Scott Morrison. How are you today, sir?
Really good, Tony. Happy to be here. It's a beautiful day in Rome these days. We were actually talking earlier, we're both from Vancouver, but we both appreciate actually being in a beautiful place like Rome.
Love Rome. Love the food.
Oh, isn't it amazing? Yeah. No, I've got old Italian roots here, and so I always think I've got this sort of genetic predisposition to love Italian food.
No doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt, for sure. So for all the people out there in bnetTV land, give me a brief overview of Layer 7, what you're doing here at the SDP Summit.
Great. Well, Layer 7 is actually one of the leading vendors of API security and management platforms. So basically what we do is we give you that platform so that you can manage access for every one of the APIs within your organization. Know exactly who's coming in, when, why, what they're doing, everything you need to know. Deal with threat detection, deal with billing system integration, all of that, critical stuff. And what we're doing here really is starting to move in, much more aggressively into the whole carrier space. A very, very exciting place because the carriers, more than anybody else, are probably some of the most significant and aggressive adopters of APIs. They've realized this technology makes tremendous sense in their space, and they're actually doing a lot of really, really interesting work in monetizing APIs and making very, very valuable APIs, such as voice recognition, location services, billing services, available to all sorts of developers, both within the company, but also externally. It's a very, very exciting time.
It is a really exciting time, and since you said, that Layer 7's been around for such a long time, and you've got some really good roots within this particular portion of the ecosystem, you must have seen so much talked about technology for so long, and finally, do you feel like, wow, we're actually deploying at a really good rate, and all the things we said we were going to do, we're actually doing, and it's working?
Oh, listen, absolutely. So Layer 7 started 10 years ago, based in Vancouver, with a vision of really building an access gateway for different kinds of services. Now, over the years, of course, we've seen a lot of different approaches to doing services. In the early days, it was very much about SOAP and XML and classical web services. Very heavyweight, very, I would say, vendor-driven in the way the standards had evolved. Now we're actually moving towards a much more lightweight, much more kind of grassroots approach, where really you don't need a lot of extra infrastructure and such to get started. And that's the beauty of the whole new API movement. It's really lightweight, agile. It really fits with the zeitgeist of the time. So that's a very logical evolution, we think. And so Layer 7, of course, has evolved along the way as well to support the classic web services like SOAP just as well as it supports the new API movement, which is all based on lightweight HTTP, JSON, OAuth, technologies like that. And like I say, it's an exciting time with great potential, and it's a particularly good time to be a developer these days.
It is particularly good time to be a developer. Let's talk briefly about the idea that you're a mid-sized enterprise company. You've got an enterprise solution. You got to be in the cloud. You need an API, but your head's all over the map, and you don't know what to do. But everybody's talking about it, and you don't want to miss the boat. What do you do?
What you got to do really is the APIs really are the point of interface between all of these different important technological trends. You nailed a bunch of them. Cloud is one of them. Mobility is another one of them. But also there's the lightweight integration with a large number of different websites and devices and that. The common piece in all of those puzzles, the common piece in all of those trends are APIs. APIs are the glue that lets you tie all of that together. Whether it's an app on an iPhone actually accessing mission critical information in the enterprise, or whether it's, let's say, a cloud-based website that actually has to integrate with, let's say, a legacy information system like a mainframe or something like that within a telco infrastructure, a carrier infrastructure. That point of contact, that point of interface is always going to be APIs. So the important thing to do today, if you're in the carrier space, is to recognize that you need a strong API platform. You need it to be very, very API centric. Don't by any means go in and try to roll your own. Don't by any means try to actually create something that isn't flexible. There are drop-in solutions, like the whole Layer 7 secure span line. It's been designed over 10 years to do exactly that, to actually allow you to integrate effectively into the enterprise and begin to tie together these very important technological trends, cloud, mobility, partnerships. All of these are enabled through APIs and enabled through the Layer 7 secure span line.
And finally, Scott, last question. What are we going to see from Layer 7 here in the future?
Oh, listen, like I said earlier, it's an exciting time to be a developer. And as an old developer, myself, and you can see the gray hairs that, are starting to creep through these days. Part of me actually wants to go down and actually grind out code again. It's that exciting. I think this is a golden age of interesting new things being done. And maybe being here in Italy, the birthplace of the Renaissance, it reminds us that there are times when all the factors come together and you get a creative explosion. This is one of those times. The whole API movement is going to be a renaissance in how technology is coming together. And so I think what we're going to see in the future is some amazing new integrations between on-site computing, between cloud computing, between mobility. This is an exciting time. Watch this space.
Well said, Scott. Thanks for taking the opportunity to speak with us here at the SDP Summit. We get a chance for an update again in the future.
Oh, listen, my pleasure. Anytime. So keep an eye on Layer 7, www.layer7tech.com.
I've been speaking with Mr. Scott Morrison of Layer 7 here at the SDP Global Summit in Rome. I am Tony Sklar with bnetTV.